Welcome to Wastewater Monitoring Analytics Module 2.5, How to Make a Heat Map. I'm Rebecca Schneider, an analyst in the Data Science Division at the Houston Health Department, and I'm presenting on behalf of the Houston Wastewater Epidemiology's analysis team. This video is preceded by Analytics Module 0, 1, and 2, and is a deeper dive into making a heat map. This module will cover some examples of what to consider when making a heat map, as well as taking an in-depth look at the pheatmap function in R. There are lots of ways to make a heat map in R. Let's first look at examples of heat maps Houston uses to get an idea of what to consider when making a heat map. Here is a heat map you may have seen in Module 1 and 2. Some unique things about the heat map are listed here. For color scale, we found replacing the center of the original palette, an R Brewer palette, with white to better communicate what we meant by 0. On that last note, we then had to ensure that 0 is indeed the middle value of the color scale. And lastly, you'll notice in our wastewater treatment plant heat maps, the order is not alphabetical. Alphabetical ordering is very useful when used as a reference, but we ended up ordering these by population size of the wastewater treatment plant in order to add that level of information to these plots. And here's the viral load compared to the benchmark levels, also seen in Module 1 and 2. As you'll often find in wastewater epidemiology, plotting on the log 10 scale can be beneficial. For the percent of benchmark levels, which the calculations are covered in Module 1, we removed the log 10 in the calculations, but in turn, plotted the colors here on the log 10 scale, something pheatmap can handle. So you'll see on the top legend produced by pheatmap, it's almost all red. I produced the bottom legend to help expand the scale and be more readable. Lastly, you'll want to consider how to handle missing values. For example, since this is looking at the weekly trend over the course of the program, we wanted to include blank weeks for when the samples weren't collected. Next is a school heat map, which is seen in Martha Stansel's training. The values in school testing in Houston are categorical, but we chose to show them on a scale rather than as discrete colors. Also, as this report goes out to an even larger audience, we chose to add the not sampled information here on the legend. And lastly, in the prior wastewater treatment plant heat maps, we mapped all the weeks from the start of the program. But for this heat map, the team receives this information are mostly interested in the current results, so we limited the number of weeks. One note is you can still add levels of information in the missing values. For example, to be covered in Level 2 training, a missing value in variant results could actually be due to 2 different factors, so we broke down the gray missing value in 2 categories. Next, we'll cover pheatmap, the function in R. Data going into pheatmap are numeric, sorted, and at least 2 columns. Pheatmap can't handle 1 column. Here's an example of the code we use to create heat maps. The text in orange are variables that we create each time. Heat data is our numeric matrix containing the values to be displayed. Next, you can give it the color palette and the numerical breaks for that palette. Here's an example of one of our standard palettes. We replace the middle of the Brewer palette with white, then expand the colors to 99 colors. Next, for the legend, you can dictate what labels are shown and where they appear on the legend. Also, you may want to specify the size of a cell width and cell height. And lastly, specifying a title to appear depending on the data shown. Though not variables we create, we also specify the values in orange. This will stop pheatmap from clustering the columns and rows. I keep it in just to ensure this doesn't happen. Next, you can specify the text size and the angle of the dates at the bottom. Lastly, I set this to true to ensure the legend always appears. If you're interested in learning more about sampling, analyzing, and integrating wastewater data into public health interventions, check out our other training videos on our website. Support for this program was provided through a grant by the CDC. The Houston Wastewater Epidemiology team would like to thank you for viewing this training video.